All right, so let's bring in the House Intelligence Committee Chairman, Adam Schiff. He was appointed to the January 6th committee. They meet tomorrow. It is about 10:15 at night in Washington, D.C. Congressman Schiff has been going for like 20 hours straight, so we appreciate that you're saving your final interview for us. Good to see you. Good evening, Congressman. If you would, give us a preview of what tomorrow is going to look like, what the next few weeks, next few months on this is going to look like.
Sure. Well, it's great to see you. Tomorrow morning, we will have 4 Capitol and Metropolitan Police officers testify about what they faced that day, January 6th, when they were beaten, when they were sprayed with bear spray, when they were clubbed, and when they were really expecting that that day may be the last, that they might die defending the Capitol. And, you know, while we've seen some of the footage of that day, we haven't really heard directly from the officers about what they experienced. And given there's so much effort at revisionist history to suggest, as some of my colleagues have, this was just a normal tourist day on the Capitol. It's really important. I think the public will be shocked by what they hear. They'll see some new footage they haven't seen before, and just hear how harrowing it was for these brave police officers.
It is dubbed a bipartisan panel, but as Elex said, there's been a lot of Republican pushback. Just 2 Republicans are on the panel. So how do you prevent this from being just another partisan project?
Well, the original proposal was 5 Democrats and 5 Republicans in a truly independent commission. Kevin McCarthy rejected that, said he didn't want it. And that left the Speaker to establish a select committee. And now Kevin McCarthy is complaining about the select committee. The long and the short of it is Kevin McCarthy doesn't want this investigated, and neither does Donald Trump, because they're afraid of what we'll find, and probably afraid of whatever complicity that they or others might have. But just because Kevin McCarthy won't do his constitutional duty doesn't give us a pass. So thankfully, we have 2 very, I think, strong Republicans, and Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, who have the courage of their convictions, who are not willing to, you know, carry the president's big lie about the election. And want to get to the truth. And so we will have a bipartisan select committee. We will begin with that hearing I mentioned, but then we will go on with other hearings, with the gathering of documents and the compiling of a comprehensive report of what happened that day, the lead up to that, and more important, what recommendations to protect our democracy in the future.
But Kevin McCarthy did do his part, right? I mean, Speaker Pelosi asked him for names. He's supplied names. They're not names that she likes. Didn't like the name of Jim Jordan, but he's a member of Congress. Why can't he serve on this? And what is the precedent here that if Kevin McCarthy becomes the Speaker and Nancy Pelosi is the minority leader, or you're the minority leader or somebody else, and you suggest names and he just says, nope, don't want them?
Well, the original proposal of the commission would have given the Republicans 5 appointments. Completely to their discretion, and the Democrats would have had 5 as well. But Kevin McCarthy rejected that. And so what he ended up getting was a select committee, the statute of which, like other select committees, provides that the minority leader, Kevin McCarthy, doesn't get to appoint members. He only gets to recommend members. And the Speaker accepted 3 of the recommendations and said, send me 2 others, because the other 2 are people who essentially deny the facts of January 6th, are pushing out the president's big lie, and are being put on just to disrupt the proceedings, and we're not going to allow that to happen. So McCarthy still has the opportunity to appoint people or to at least recommend them as the law provides, but whether he will do so or not, that's up to him.
For those who say that this is just impeachment round 3 of former President Trump, you say?
I say, well, look at the 9/11 Commission. That was bipartisan. Republicans didn't shy away, even though George W. Bush was president at the time of 9/11, and he feared that the report the commission might come out with might be critical of his administration for being unprepared. But they did their duty. They were patriotic enough to do their duty. Kevin McCarthy only does what Donald Trump wants him to do, and Donald Trump doesn't want this commission to go forward. But the American people deserve answers about the worst attack on our Capitol since 1812, and we're determined to provide them.
Bigger picture, we've got 2 parties that are living in different universes right now. You look at vaccination numbers, 86% of Democrats, 52% of Republicans. You look at even at this January 6th, Both parties, the issues of voter fraud, seen in totally different ways. How do we fix this? How do we bring this country together where we can even have a conversation? Because you know on this that Democrats are going to listen to this, and there's a lot of Republicans that are just going to say, I'm out, all a sham, doesn't matter, and not talk about it. How do we get past that?
Well, first of all, we have a responsibility to the truth. So we really can't equate and just say, okay, these are just two sides that disagree. You know, there is an answer, as you guys were making so clear about the virus and the need to get vaccinated. And you could say, well, some people believe it and some don't. But there is a right answer here in terms of what's best for the country, what's best for defeating the virus. There is also a right answer when it comes to whether our election was free and fair. The president's statements, his claims of fraud, which he repeated again in the last 24 hours, are just plain false. So how do you get people to recognize that those are falsehoods? You have to provide them with good information. And that's what we hope to do through our committee, is provide the public with good information about what happened on January 6th. And look, there are millions of Republicans that Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger represent who aren't willing to turn away from the truth, who don't believe in being an anti-democratic party, that want their party back. I fear, though, that they're not likely to get that party back as long as Donald Trump is on the scene and Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell are devoted more to the cult of his personality than any ideas or ideology.
And when can we expect to for this investigation to finish?
Well, you know, we're going to work as expeditiously as we can. The timing is not completely within our control, because it may depend on how much obstructionism that we run into. If people try to thwart the subpoenas and don't provide the documents and the testimony that they're compelled to, then we may have to go to court to force them to comply, and that will obviously draw things out. But if people do cooperate, I think we can do this very expeditiously, and we're certainly going to try.
And one last question, just for fun, because I always like to have something fun. It's a late night for you. You got an early morning. How does Congressman Schiff wind down?
Well, you know, watching the rest of your broadcast, and then, you know, and then probably reading until I drift off.
All right. Enjoy whatever you're. What are you reading?
I'm reading Grant by Ron Chernow. It's fantastic.
Wow.
Light reading.
Yeah,
all right.
My husband read that. Yes.
Enjoy. All right, Congressman Schiff, have a good night. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
Enjoy Grant.